Tonight's edition of the Gagliarchives comes to you from North 13th Studios in Brigantine, New Jersey.
And we invite you, wherever you are, whether you're at home or whatever, to kick your shoes off and put your feet up and lean back and get yourself a cup of coffee or something and just relax and join us in enjoying some very quiet and romantic and relaxed music for a couple of hours.
Pictures for your mind. Pictures for your mind.
If trouble never happened and sorrow never came, the only thing you'd know about your neighbor is his name. If all your days were bright and fair and certain was your place, you'd only know a fellow by the features of his face.
Pictures for your mind.
This is the water, and this is the well. Drink full and ascend.
Pictures for your mind.
This is future. This is past.
Pictures for your mind.
You can understand people better if you look at them, no matter how old or impressive they may be, as if they are children. For most of us, never mature. We simply grow taller.
Pictures for your mind.
You are far away.
I understand.
In the universe, there are many energy fields which we cannot normally perceive. Some energies have a spiritual source which act upon a person's soul. However, this soul does not exist ab initio, as Orthodox Christianity teaches. It has to be brought into existence by a process of guided self-observation. However, this is rarely achieved owing to man's unique ability to be distracted from spiritual matters by everyday trivia.
Happiness comes only when we push our brains and hearts to the farthest reaches of which we are capable. The purpose of life is to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have it make some difference that we lived at all.
So come, friend, fly with me, the night bird, in stereo.
Listen to the sounds.
Good evening and welcome to the Saturday Night Progressive Rock Outpost. Welcome to the Gagliarchives, your weekly progressive rock reference guide and the definitive source for you, my friends, the progressive rock collectors. Tonight is program 1814 for those of us online, and tonight we have a special treat with you. And I got to tell you, to share this with you is something that is long overdue. And joining us tonight in our second set to talk about the excellent new 13-disc box set from the Cuneiform Records label, Dave Newhouse of the Muffins will join us to talk about the incredible set called Baker's Dozen. And again, that'll be in our second set tonight. You won't want to miss it as we look at the second half of that incredible new box set. We've got new music that comes out of two countries, out of the countries of Hungary and Romania. And we'll be spotlighting the incredible new release that is in our weekly top 20 this week from the band Yesterdays and their new release called Saint Expere Alma. And again, it's an incredible new release that has climbed up the weekly top 20. And again, hailing from Hungary and Romania, you won't want to miss this. That's in our premiere spot tonight. Just after your weekly installment of the Stargazer's Handbook, your guide to all the great things going on in and around the skies this week, will feature the new release from Tim Motzer, Kenny Grohowski, and Marcus Reuter. And that is the new Moon June Records release titled Bleed. Now, you know they had performed recently over at the Prague Stock Festival just back in October. Well, we're going to feature that incredible new release that they supported on, once again called Bleed. You won't want to miss that. Also tonight, as promised, in the last few months, you noticed we've been looking at what's been in the top spot of our weekly top 20, going back to the old days when it was the Lost Satellite charts. when we did a top 10 and a top 15. Well, we're going to look at, as we did 92, we did 1997, 25 years ago, we did 15 years ago with the year 2007, 20 years ago with 2002. Now, tonight we look at 2012, and we take a look at some of the top albums that year, such as Disciplines, To Shatter All Accord, also Special Providence, their Soul Alert, Diablo Swing Orchestra's Pandora's Pinata, Rush had the Clockwork Angels album hit the top spot in our weekly top 20, Angleguard, that eventually had the number one album in the top 100 of 2012, as voted by you, our listeners, with Villians Öga. And that's going to be in our fifth set. Again, a nice extended set of what was hot on this program 10 years ago in 2012. Also tonight in our fourth set, Space Out, we feature a concert that happened 15 years ago. You may have seen the post on our Facebook page recollecting on what a great moment it was. It was the first of 3 in-studio performances from the incredible trio known as Radio Massacre International. It was this time 15 years ago that they were touring in support of Rain Falls in Gray, that also came out of the Cuneiform Records label. Well, they performed at our studios at Z88.9. I'm going to feature that, including the interview we did with them. And again, that was 15 years ago. We're going to feature that in our fourth set. Our Philadelphia Progressive Rock Concert Update looks at Nectar as they make their way next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, to the Orion Sound Studios in Baltimore, Maryland. Also, tonight we feature some concert flashbacks to 20 years ago when Frog Cafe played over at the Metlar Bodine House, which is the New Jersey Prog House up in Piscataway. We'll feature that tonight. And also, we've got music from the Vinyl Vaults from Boston jazz musician Arnold Cheatham and his album Thing that came out 50 years ago this time. But we kick it all off tonight with an album that is a personal favorite, and it came out 30 years ago this week from the Philadelphia progressive rock band we know and love as Ekelin. And it would be the sophomore effort from Ekelin called Suffocating the Bloom. The album was released on November 28, 1992, Thanksgiving weekend, at a release party at the 23 East Cabaret in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Greg Cull, who did a lot of the outside work for the band, went on to say, "We had the release party in Ardmore. There were 400 people there that night, and we sold over 600 CDs. He said, "I remember our parents and girlfriends coming to the club early to lend a hand. We decorated the entire club with flowers. Carnations were fixed to the rafters and placed on stage. And Mr. Weston, Ray's dad, he wore a tuxedo and handed out roses to everyone who was attending the show. The place looked great." He said, "Our light show was homemade, but definitely effective. We also ran movies during some of the songs, and Velveteen always closed the show." He said, "Just one day earlier, we were at Forge Recording Studios packing the CD, and if we didn't package Suffocating the Bloom ourselves," Greg Cull will go on to say, he said, "it would not have been ready for the release party. We sat in a circle in the lounge and started a production line. CDs were placed in the trays, tray cards into jewel cases, booklets were folded and inserted into their proper place, and the process took all day to complete." It was released 30 years ago this time, and this piece here is my favorite Ekelin track of all time. It's called A Suite for the Everyman, and according to Ray, it was an explosion of emotion built up by the release of their first album, the self-titled Ekelin release in 91, only to have it rejected by all record labels they solicited. He said, "It's a basic single-finger salute to those who said it could not be done, and about sticking with integrity of your ideals." Released 30 years ago this very time, and an album that's always been a special one. It's a desert island disc for me. This is Ekelin's Suffocating the Bloom and the epic Suite for the Everyman.
The year was 1992.
Now, first, I want to thank the Vice President of the United States, Dan Quayle, for coming through for me one last time before I leave.
1992.
Can you tell me, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and a 4-barrel carburetor?
It's a bullshit question. It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
Your Honor.
Can you answer the question?
No, it is a trick question.
Why is it a trick question?
Watch this.
Because Chevy didn't make a 327 in 55. The 327 didn't come out till 62. And it wasn't offered in the Bel Air with a 4-barrel carb till 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before top dead center.
Well,
1992.
Welcome, you've just entered the Gagliarchives with Tom Gagliardi. 4 hours hours of music you just don't hear on the radio.
The year was 1992. 1992.
Hello, this is Tom Hyatt from the band Ekelin, and you are listening to Tom Gagliardi on Gagliarchives.
Comes harder on a mutual individualism. The sincere hypocrite gave me a sad smile. His cologne was so damn sinfully sweet. I'm saying it was almost bitter. He was honestly receptive when he finally broke the silence that was ringing my ear. What you have here is awfully nice. Just give me a call in a few short years. Dig. Sell your future, it's so damn sure I can taste it. Just sign the line at the bottom, it's marked forever. There's a lot of people talking, but no one's really speaking up. There's too many Star Trekkers that are boldly going to the same old side. move to rise and fall. My waves caress your heart. Burn to a tidal ecstasy. With currents like sensual fingers, I rhythmically reach to the pool of the moon. I push to your shoreline to kiss the curves of your longing beaches of insanity. Going through hell for those who wanna buy. taste it in your mouth. I am, that's right, a bastard with a point. So, you think your artistic insecurity can be sealed in? Celebrate personalities, keep you nice and fresh. Locked up in your perfect world, feeling above the list. Me, I sit with pen in hand, wondering what to write. Should I cut myself in paint and crimson? I use my plastic arguments. You just sell the words to collect the royalties. Stereotyped with golden hand, I'm naked for the world to see. Scares me the most is that talent is seldom considered. It's all in the name as the waiting game grows tight around your throat. I'm sick of being passed on this time. I'm bored with all the letters. They just hang on the wall for all to see who the next fool is. It's not that the prize has been set too high. It's never too high. It's just that I'm not sure I want to sell to those who want to buy. Go through hell for those who want to buy. Please don't take me the wrong way. If I don't sell for those who want to buy. Skeleton-bound illusions, freaks inside my head, come to life as I realize insane's not so bad. We must be down to one more road to feed the cause and criticize. We took the time to tell you, man. Now you see what we're under. I'm sitting on. I hope it will never break free. But I know that my cut's not the real problem here. It's a cancer that's in the body of this tree. And all the boughs will break, and all the leaves will crumble surely fall to be swept away, and the bloom will feel the rake when the blossom takes its tumble. If they're not allowed to grow, they'll surely fall. A flower must have sunlight like a song must be heard. The ego needs an audience for the id to be stirred. But if we sell for the sake of sales and those that want to buy, are we playing for ourselves or just acting out a lie? And all the boughs will break, and all the leaves will crumble. If they're not allowed to grow, they'll surely fall to be swept away, and the bloom will feel the rake when the blossom takes its tumble. If they're not allowed to grow, they'll surely fall. Like God-loving life and pile them in our human mess. We suffocate the bloom in man-made walls and fences. We suffocate the bloom in false righteousness. And all the boughs will break, and all the leaves will crumble. If they're not allowed to grow, they'll surely fall to be swept away, and the bloom will feel the rake when the blossom takes its tumble. If they're not allowed to grow, they'll surely fall. They'll surely fall.
Released this time in 1992, 30 years ago, that was Ekelin Suffocating the Bloom, and it featured a nice extended set of music there, broken down into more or less 11 parts, and part one of that is only 12, then a cautious repose, bearing down, cash flow shuffle, Mr. Oxymoron, 12's enough, I am the tide, canoning in B major, picture perfect, those that want to buy, and you just heard Suffocating the Bloom, featuring Ray Weston, Brett Cull, Chris Busby, Paul Ramsey, Tom Hyatt, Ekelin, Suffocating the Bloom. Now, for this particular record, as we talked about, Sweet for the Everman was an explosion of emotion built up by the release of their self-titled debut in 1991. And I remember back in the day, John Most, our one-time show assistant, he had fallen in love with these guys and was insistent that I would love them too. And at the first listen, I was like, wow, there's a lot going on. And later, as I started to really get into these guys, when As the World came out, I was ready to call them one of my personal favorite bands, and then they broke up when we had scheduled to try to get them into the studio. And it was always like just missing with Ekelin for myself and the radio show, but we always made sure that we gave them the audio home they deserved. And for that track, Sweet for the Everman, one of the most powerful I've ever heard. And according to guitarist Brett Cull, he said their initial intent was to write a second part to Shades from the debut album, but it morphed into the multi-part epic that closed out the album. Now, the first 1,000 copies of Suffocating the Bloom had silver discs with black print, including a few spelling mistakes. Winter Through is printed as 2 words, and Memoirs from Between is labeled as Memories from Between. The second run of about 1,000, produced approximately 4 months later, included red discs with yellow print and all the mistakes corrected. A third run of 500 was printed out in the spring of 95 and contained all black discs. In 2000, some 22 years ago, Ekelin received their master recordings back from Sony Music, and I was there for that. I was literally backstage outside the back door. They were hand-delivered to the band by record executive Michael Kaplan at the TLA in late June of 2000, where the band was opening for the supergroup Transatlantic. This provided the band the opportunity to remaster and reissue the album as it had been out of print for close to 8 years. The band pressed approximately 6,000 copies of the remaster in late 2000 with updated artwork and packaging. And again, it's an incredible album. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I mean, I love all the Ekelin albums for different reasons, but this particular one, I just never forgot it. And again, it was that CD release party that everyone still talks about at the 23 East Cabaret in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. November 28, 1992 was the official release date, the concert, and all. Now, according to the recent news, Ekelin is getting ready to release some new music. And of course, we'll keep you in tune. Ray Weston is teasing about coming down to North 13 Studios to talk about it. Of course, we'll give you all the updates when they happen. But again, check out their website, ekelin.com. And as always, let them know you heard it right here on the Gagley Archives. On the other side of this, another memorable concert that happened 20 years ago this time, which I just realized was one of their very first few concerts in their band's history. Stay tuned.
A portion of tonight's radio broadcast was brought to you by House of Prog Radio, your home for progressive music and so much more at houseofprog.com. At House of Prog, you can listen to a world of different styles of the progressive rock genres, with live programming from all around the world, every day of the week. Listeners can interact with global programming and radio shows based in Northern Ireland, Italy, Norway and the United States. House of Prog Radio's mission is to be the best 1970s-style progressive radio station on the internet, welcoming all genres. With a focus on progressive rock, the genres that inspired it, and the genres inspired by it. House of Prog Radio. Now home to the Gagliarchives live on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, with replays on Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, and Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, noon UK time. House of Prog Radio, the official station of the Prog Stock Festival.
39 degrees. Feels like 31 here at the mysterious north end of Brigantine Island. Coming to you from North 13th Studios, a one-time bootlegger's haven just outside the borders of Galloway and Absecon, New Jersey to our west, Atlantic City to our south, the murky waters of the Atlantic Ocean to our east, and Long Beach Island to our north. Welcome to yet another edition of the Gagley Archives program 1814 for those listening around the star Sirius A and B, 8.5 light years away, where it is currently the year 2030 on Earth when it arrived to you some 8 years ago. Again, you're listening to the Gagley Archives, and I want to thank everybody for the great emails. Thanks for all the great commentary on last week's program. So many of you guys raved about some of the material we played in the last few weeks. If you've noticed, if you've had a keen ear, we've been featuring a lot of new music in the last couple weeks that has come out in the final quarter of this amazing 2022 season. Well, the three most responded items you guys talked about was, obviously, number one was the Muffins box set, part one. So many of you guys loved it, and I got to tell you, the response was so overwhelming. I literally reached out to Dave Newhouse and said, would you mind being on the show? It was a last-minute thing, and he joined us for an incredible interview, which we're going to feature in just a bit. Also, you guys loved the new Magma, the Cartel album, which was in the third set of our program of 1813 last week. And also, the third most talked about item was the Italian avant rock and opposition project known as Sedok. I love them as well. They're on the Lizard Records label, so go check them out. As always, coming to you from the beaches of southern New Jersey, sending our signals all the way to the beautiful southern west coast of San Diego, California, and also to the beautiful rolling hills of Newville, Pennsylvania. You're listening to the Gagley Archives. A great show up tonight, friends. The start of our third set, just following your weekly installment of the Stargazer's Handbook, your guide to all the beautiful events in the heavens over the course of the next week. We'll track the new release from Marcus Reuter, Tim Motzer, and Kenny Grohowski called Bleed. Came out just a few weeks back on the Moon June Records label, a little over a week, I should say, about a week and a half now. Up at our premiere spot in just a little while, we've got the incredible new release from Yesterday's, a Romanian-Hungarian progressive rock band that has the atmospheres of that mid-era of Yes. You're going to love them. They've moved up in the weekly top 20 this week as well. Also tonight in our Philadelphia Progressive Rock Concert Update Spotlight, we look at the band Nectar making their way to the Orion Sound Studios on the 26th of November. That's next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. Again, go to orionsound.com to find out more information, but Nectar will be there. We'll look at the 50th anniversary of A Tab in the Ocean again. Last Saturday night, we opened up with it. We'll feature another track by request. And up in our premiere spot, as we said in a little bit, we've got the new Yesterday's album, and we'll close out what's number one in the weekly top 20 on the Gagley Archives, which, I mean, I'm not surprised because it's an incredible album. If you haven't gotten it already, it is the new release from Banco del Mutuo Soccorso, and it is that incredible offering now 9 weeks in the top spot, called Orlando, Le Forme dell'Amore, so we'll feature some music by request for that as well. But again, you're listening to the Gagli Archives. We got a whole lot to get to tonight. And our next spotlight took place 20 years ago this weekend, November 15th to be specific, over at the Metlar Bodine in Piscataway, New Jersey. This was a museum that housed also the New Jersey Prog House's very beginning concerts. The band was Frog Cafe, and they're a Long Island quintet who started off as a Zappa cover band named Lumpy Gravy. Now, their material is a strong slice of uniquely American progressive rock and an innovative blend of Zappa meeting Mahavishnu-like music with violin, and Chicago-style brass choirs, and a hint of Universe Zero at times. Their music alternates from light, airy piano and violin parts to darker, intense guitar passages, creating a dynamic contrast. The use of the trumpet also adds some interesting tonal colors. Well, it was about this time when they performed at the New Jersey Prog House. They released their eponymous album in 2002, which was complex yet surprisingly accessible, only marred by a poor production. The drums sounded a bit muddy, they said, and I still loved it. A year later, they put out the album Creatures, but this is what it sounded like while they were in support of that new self-titled release, Frog Cafe. This was their performance at the Metlar Bodine Museum in Piscataway, New Jersey. This was Frog Cafe. Big props to John Yarger for getting us these archives so many years ago, and now on its 20th anniversary, we give you the incredible Frog Cafe. This is a track performed live called Candy Corn. We'll follow it up with a piece called While You Were Sleeping. This is Frog Cafe.
The year was 2002.
On Close-Up this morning, a troubled young man. As we reported on Saturday, 15-year-old Charles Bishop showed up for his flying lesson without clearance or permission. He flew a single-engine Cessna into a building.
In a suicide note, the boy expressed support for Osama bin Laden.
2002.
The McNabb, the James Drash, who can fly. Flag is on Atlanta. Touchdown, Philadelphia. They finally scored an offensive touchdown, and they lead it 20-6. Fireworks go off. Eagles answer the question. They go to the NFC title game for the second time in 2 years. They beat the Falcons 20-6.
2002.
Our nation is at war. Our economy is in recession. Yet the state of our union has never been stronger.
2002.
The State Department announced that Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl was murdered by the Islamic extremists who took him captive a month ago.
2002.
Once again, 101 votes of 4,000. This is Deus Ex Machina, your number one disc of 2002, Cinque.
The year was 2002. 2002. 2002.
Recorded November 15th of 2002, 20 years ago this very week. That was Frog Cafe at the New Jersey Prog House at the Metlar Bodine Museum. That was a track called While You Were Sleeping. Prior to that, we heard Candy Corn. And again, these guys were in support of that self-titled album at the time. And what I didn't know was Frog Cafe was literally in the midst of their first few shows in their history. Of course, they have so many shows that followed after that for the next 2 decades, but how about it? Then there was that album Creatures they put out, which was a huge step up, many said, from the first album, stressing more on the progressiveness at their expense of jazziness, which I preferred the jazziness. But it's a complex and symphonic affair, that album, filled with tons of offbeat melodies and instrumental brilliance, funky keyboards, percolating bass lines, and often serving as a backdrop for electric violin, trumpet, and guitar soloing with the occasional intrusion of woodwinds. And it also features a 20-minute epic masterpiece in the vein of early 90s Echoland. But again, if you're a fan of Canterbury fans, go check out Frog Cafe, frogcafe.com. They're also on Facebook. And again, that Metlar Bodine Museum concert, the New Jersey Prog House, on November 15th of 2002. And check out the New Jersey Prog House website, njproghouse.com. They always have something great going on. And props to Jim Robinson, Ray Laboda, and of course to John Yarger, who got this to us. We love you so much. On the other side of this, my friends, brand new music from a Romanian-Hungarian band you won't forget that is sure to be hanging out in this weekly Top 20 for quite a while. Stay tuned.
A portion of tonight's radio broadcast was brought to you by Oral Moon Radio at oralmoon.com, the next progressive rock garden. At oralmoon.com, you can listen to the best in progressive rock, streamed live to your desktop, smartphone, or iPhone, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Classic stuff you've heard, and obscure albums you wish you had, with interactive requests, and a live chat with the gagliarchives listeners on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, including a replay of Saturday night's live program, Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for our European audience. Celebrating the power and majesty of progressive rock, Oral Moon Radio, at oralmoon.com. your web address for musical redemption. If you like what you heard tonight, don't keep it a secret. Send your comments and suggestions, in care of the Gagliarchives, by emailing gagliarchives@comcast.net. Visit our website at gagliarchives.com and also at facebook.com/gagliarchives. Also visit us on YouTube and Twitter at gagliarchives. Join us on Instagram at gagliarchives_radio and visit us on our TV channel at twitch.tv/gagliarchives. You can contact our North 13th studios in care of your host Tom Gagliardi, 201 North 13th Street, Brigantine, New Jersey, 08203. Follow the websites for the latest in progressive rock news, concert updates, upcoming guests, in-studio performances and world premieres you will only hear on the Gagliarchives.
And thank you so much, Grace. As she stated, visit our website, gagliarchives.com/index.asp. Also on Gagly Archives at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Instagram.com/GaglyArchives_radio. Twitch.tv/GaglyArchives. Check out some of our old broadcasts. Can never stress it enough for all of you great emails you send at gagliarchives@comcast.net, and also your direct messages to us on all those social media platforms. When you do that, please make sure you give us your name, state, country, the galaxy, the dimension, wherever you're coming from, so we can make sure we give you the shout out you deserve. And let us know what you want to hear more of, what new material you're digging, and you're liking so much more than others, let's say. And that's how we build our weekly top 20 week after week. And so many of you guys let us know what you like, what you want to hear on the show. Let us know your thoughts on the anniversaries or vintage album spotlights that may have made your hair stand up like it did mine. As in fact, in our vinyl vault section tonight, we've got music out of a Boston Jazzer from 1972 and Arnold Cheatham, so you won't want to miss that. Originally released on the Porter Records label back in 2008 and was later reissued, but we're going to feature that all by request, by what you guys say. So if there's things that are making your eyes misty, don't be ashamed, tell us. We love hearing your reactions. In fact, I want to get to the first round of some of our shout-outs. I got to say a special ode to Matt Pila in Blackwood, New Jersey, one of my first radio colleagues back at WDBK 91.5 FM. Also want to say hi to Teresa Burton, listening to us in Los Angeles, California. Rob Bennett, who's up in Rochester, New York. Dene Pepin, who's listening to us in Anjou, Quebec. Also Juan Francisco Martinez in San Salvador, El Salvador. Marcio Chiaramonte, listening to us in the southern tip of Argentina. They call it wine country. My man Mike Palashak out in Ocean City, New Jersey, one of the best coffee brewers I know. Much love to you. Jim Mahoney out in Springfield, Delaware. Much love to you. Mike Pack out in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, another longtime cohort in crime, especially working the early days of trying to figure out HTML. He was a big help. Reggie Zatney, who just had a birthday, one of our radio show first co-producers back in the early 90s. He's out in Monroeville, New Jersey. Special to John Gallo in Philly. He's checking us out. Marie Freeman in Brick, New Jersey. Deborah Sears listening to us, who's the lovely wife and radio host of the Prog Rock Diner. She's the wife of Paul Sears, the drummer of the Muffins, who, nice segue, we're going to be featuring an extended second set as we look at the second side of that incredible 13-disc box set. And Dave Newhouse will join us to talk about it. And I'm even thinking of getting Paul to join us on his own to tell us his perspective of it all. Special hello to Dale Kay listening to us in, I guess it's by Halia, Mississippi. Am I saying that correctly? Donna O'Donnell in Bayonne, New Jersey. Ricky White in Montevideo, Uruguay. Special hello to Peter Thalen of Expose Magazine in Linden, Utah. Renato de Moras listening to us in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Stephen Jackie Gresswell in Cumbria, United Kingdom, in Carlisle. Joe DeAndrea in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Doug Coran in Columbus, Ohio. Patricia Sieferman in Charlotte, North Carolina. Gabrielle Teormina in Palermo, Italy. And much love to Dave Newhouse of the Muffins, also of Madame Mirage, Moon X, Moon Men, Durats, so much more. He's in Newmarket, Maryland, so we're going to give him a nice spotlight tonight as he joins us on our fog lines in just a bit. Special hello to Eric Corbin in Fairchance, Pennsylvania, Bob Woolsey in Mission, British Columbia. Also to my man Cliff Progzilla Pearson, host of Progzilla Radio in Clacton-on-Sea in the United Kingdom. Also to Jorge Passler, listening to us in Ostringen, Germany. And also my man Keith Way in London. We move on now to some brand new music hailing from Care, Romania. They're called Yesterdays, and they're a Hungarian progressive rock band based in both Romania and Hungary. And after the great success of their Senki Madara album, Hungarian progressive rock band Yesterdays are now back with their fourth album, which is titled Saint-Exupéry's Alma, or in English, Saint-Exupéry's Dream. The new work appears as a music biographical concept album, which addresses the world-famous Le Petit Prince, or The Little Prince, by French author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, to whom the album title is dedicated to, and his plane crash in the Libyan desert in 1935. Although the idea for this album is already 15 years old, the planning and completion of this 74-minute-long player only took about 1 year. Shortly before starting production, the band surprisingly faced loss of their long-lasting keyboardist in Enyedi Zoltz. This way, the album becomes more of an allegory of his death at the same time. It was him who had the idea for the album title and is now leaving an artistic legacy as well as his own homage with us, they went on to say. For one last time, his synthesizer sounds remain with the title piece, which is A Mereg, which comes from an old jam session forming from the core of this composition. Now, the success of the previous album, Senki Madara, with the more obvious 70s sounds, made the band go down this musical road even further. So Saint-Exupéry Alma is for sure the band's most progressive rock album to this point, not only because of its concept approach, but mostly for its heavy Yes and Genesis influences off this period. Apart from that, the longer pieces, recurring themes and motifs, the virtuoso instrumental playing, sophisticated changes in rhythm, and vocal figures are also characteristic. It's brand new. It's in our weekly top 20 for the week of November 18, 2022, and climbing. This is Yesterday's, and again, the beautiful tribute to their one-time long-standing keyboardist Enyedi Zoltz. This is Saint-Exupéry Alma. We're going to feature two cuts. This one titled Esteke. New music here on the Gagliarchives.